chromosomal theory of inheritance. Okay. Now we know that Mendel told that the genes which were the factors, or the factors which were the gene, behaved like what? They behaved in a particular manner which gave us the inheritance. Okay. Now chromosomal theory of inheritance states that, and it was given by Walter Sutton and Theodore Boveri, and he told that the way Mendel told that genes behave, the chromosome also gives the same movement, or the behavior of the genes, the factors and the chromosome is both the same. Okay. So the chromosomal theory of inheritance was given by Walter Sutton and Theodore Boveri. By 1902, chromosomal movements during meiosis had been understood, and both Sutton and Boveri noted that the behavior of the chromosome was parallel. Okay, the behavior of chromosome was parallel to the behavior of genes or factors as called by Mendel, and he used concept of the chromosomal movements to explain Mendel's law of inheritance. Okay, as we know that when we talk about a cell, in the cell we say that chromosomes are present. Okay, on these chromosomes, chromosome is nothing but the mixture of proteins and DNA. Now inside these chromosomes the DNA is present, and any segment of DNA which codes for a particular polypeptide is what? Is a gene. Okay, so he told that as the same theory applies for the genes, and the behavior of the chromosome is same as these genes. Okay, this we will understand with the help of a meiosis. Now as we know that meiosis is a reduction division, the number of chromosomes get reduced during meiosis. So this is the diagram in which I have shown G1 phase. In G1 phase, you know that when the G1 phase is achieved, the chromosome will get a particular shape. Okay. Now after G2, see, you can see the chromosomal material gets doubled. As we know that in the synthesis phase, DNA synthesis will occur, and we also know that the chromosome number will remain same. Okay. But the DNA content will double. So how this happens? Now suppose this is a chromosome. Okay. Now what we'll do, we'll add this chromatid to this chromosome, and so we can say that this is the same chromosome. The chromosome number is same, that is 1, but the DNA content gets double, as you have studied in the 11th chapter, in the 11th standard. Okay. So this is the G2 phase. After G2 phase, what happens? The DNA content gets double, so 2 chromatids are there in the chromosome. Now we know that after the anaphase, okay, they start moving towards the opposite poles, and after meiosis 1, what will happen? You will get 2 cells, and after meiosis cell you will get 4 cells. Now here 2 divisions are occurring, that is meiosis 1 and meiosis 2, but the chromosome number remains same. Okay, so suppose this is a chromosome, okay, and a particular gene is present here in the chromosome. So this gene will move according to the behavior of chromosome, and this itself was given by Walter Sutton and Theodore Boveri, that as the genes behaved in the same way the chromosomes behaved. Okay, and by keeping an eye on the chromosomal movement, they explain the Mendel's law of inheritance. Okay, so after meiosis 1 and meiosis 2, the same gene which was present in the previous cell will move, okay, in the same manner as the gene moves. So we can say that the chromosomes will behave as genes, or genes will behave as chromosome, to be more specific, as given by the chromosomal theory of inheritance by West. When we talk about genes and when we talk about chromosome, both occur in pairs. Okay. Now the second similarity is that when segregation occurs, okay, that is segregation at the time of gamete formation, such that one of each pair is transmitted to a gamete. When we talk about gene, or when we talk about the chromosome, we can say that during the segregation at the time of gamete formation, one gamete will receive the one pair and the other gamete will receive the other one. Okay. And the third similarity is that one pair will segregate independently of other pair. Okay, as we have seen in the dihybrid cross, okay, from where we deduce the third law of inheritance of Mendel, that was law of independent assortment. Okay, so both will occur in pair. Segregation, okay, at the time of gamete formation will be such that each pair is transmitted to a particular gamete. One pair will, third point, one pair will segregate independently of the other pair. Okay. Other similarities can be during meiosis, both members of the chromosome pair as well as the allelic pair separate, and then during fertilization they come together, as we have seen. Okay. The first character, which was the DOF character from the parent, was not seen in the F1 generation, but when the F2 generation progeny was procured, the DOF character was seen. Okay. So during meiosis, both members of chromosome or the allelic pair separate, and then during fertilization they come together. Okay. Now we will talk about an fruit fly, that is Drosophila, and in most of these genetic experiments this Drosophila is used, that is the fruit fly. So the name of this fruit fly, the scientific name of this fruit fly is Drosophila melanogaster. So why this particular fruit fly? As we saw that in Mendel's experiment, pea plant was used. So we discussed the importance of that pea plant, why Mendel took the pea plant for his experiments. So in these experiments, that is the chromosomal experiments or other genetic experiments, this fruit fly is used, that is Drosophila melanogaster. Now why this fruit fly is used? Some of the important characters is that first, they can be grown in any or very simple synthetic medium in lab. They can be grown in simple synthetic medium in lab. Okay. The second point can be they have a short lifespan of about 2 weeks. They have a short lifespan of about 2 weeks. Okay, definitely will not choose an animal which is having a long lifespan, because we have to wait for its progeny. So we'll choose an animal whose lifespan is short and who can give us progeny as soon as possible. Okay, so the second point is they have a very short lifespan, that is about 2 weeks. Okay, now you can see sexual dimorphism, that is the female bee is very different from the male bee. In what sense? The female bee is longer than the male. Okay, so we can see the sexual dimorphism. Okay, we can easily come to know this is whether this is a female bee or a male bee. Okay, and they have many type of hereditary variation. We will choose an animal which will show a variety of the hereditary variation. Okay, they have variety of heredity or variety of different characteristics in a single bee. Okay, now the breeding of these animal or the fruit fly is very easy, and breeding can be done throughout the year. Okay, so we can say that breeding is easy and can be done throughout the year. So we don't have to wait for the season or the breeding season for this particular fruit fly. Okay, now these flies can be reared inside a bottle having yeast culture. Okay, that is a very simple medium. You can grow these fly. You can take a bottle, inside the bottle you can have the yeast culture, and on these the flies can be reared. In a bottle with yeast culture. Okay, and they are easily available, and you can easily get them hovering over the ripe fruits. Okay, they are also easily available. So these are the characteristics of this fruit fly. As we can say that this is the reason, or these are the characteristics why all the scientists have chosen this fruit fly for their genetic experiment. First one is they can grow in simple synthetic medium. Second is they have a very short lifespan, that is of about 2 weeks. You can see sexual dimorphism in that female is longer than the male. You can see variety of hereditary characters. Okay, so you can see a large amount of variation which is necessary when we study genetics. The next one is breeding is very easy. Okay, and the breeding can be done throughout the year. Flies, we don't have to wait for the next breeding season. Okay, for this fly, these flies can be reared very easily in a bottle filled with yeast culture, and last is they are easily available. Okay, you can get them hovering over the ripe fruits. So that's why this particular fruit fly, that is Drosophila melanogaster, was used for the genetic experiments. Okay, so these are the characteristics of this fruit fly, and you have to remember these particular points.